iPhone XR, the cheap iPhone for 2018. In terms of the iPhone XR release date, you'll be able to pre-order it from September 14th, and pick it up in stores from September 21st. We were expecting that this model might be a little delayed, so that's good news for those that wanted a slightly cheaper iPhone. The price of the iPhone XR is something that's going to attract buyers. At $749 it's far more affordable than the iPhone XS, which is taking all the headlines from Apple's launch event. All the rumors around the iPhone XR in the build-up to the launch event was centered around how this would be the affordable member of the new lineup. Meaning it became known as something that could be a gross hybrid of Apple's parts, a Frankenstein's monster of a device. Well, unsurprisingly for a brand that puts such a focus on design, and whose chief designer was flipping knighted, it's not an ugly device in any way. Next to the iPhone XS, sure, it's not quite as attractive. It's got thicker bezels around the screen, the edges aren't made of the same premium-feeling materials, and the back is still glass. But as a standalone device it looks just fine. It could easily be mistaken for the iPhone X of last year if the two devices weren't held closely. The size is obviously larger than the iPhone XS, thanks to that larger 6.1-inch display that needs to be wrapped in metal and other assorted components. It still feels like an iPhone in the hand, something that has the curved edges that fall away from the side of the screen, and the two speaker grills at the bottom of the iPhone XR, even though only one is actually functioning. It certainly feels chunkier than the other two models that were launched by Apple at the same time, but not in a terrible way, and is a fine trade-off for the cost. There's no headphone jack there, as you can imagine. Apple's still bravely battling against the tyranny of the 3.5mm connector, so you'll be stuck using the bundled earbuds in the box, which come with a lightning connection at the end. You should be able to use your own 3.5mm shot headphones with an adapter, but we're hearing rumors that will be taken from the box this year, in a bid to cut costs, so we'll have to see if that plays out. The rest of the iPhone XR's design is predictable if you've seen the iPhone X or checked out pics of the new XS, with the same buttons for the volume and to activate Siri on the left and right hand side of the phone respectively. It's hard to put a price on how much a phone costs just by feel these days, largely because they're so much more expensive, but the cheap iPhone certainly doesn't feel that way and actually impresses quite profusely compared to the XS. In the build-up to the iPhone launch, much of the talk was around the screen of the iPhone XR. It was going to be 6.1 inches, have thicker bezels and use LCD technology over OLED to keep the costs down. Well, it seems that has indeed come to pass, with the new Liquid Retina display that Apple's developed for the model. What that means is that although it's technically lower quality, HDR playback isn't present here. For instance, the color reproduction and overall screen effect isn't that bad at all. After all, Apple's been using LCD technology in its iPhone range even last year, where rivals like Samsung have eschewed the tech, so it knows how to make a decent-looking LCD display. The camera on the iPhone XR is the weakest of the three phones announced by Apple. It's only got a single sensor rather than two for portrait mode, but that doesn't mean it's terrible quality in comparison, and it's the same as the one in the XS, just lacks the second lens. It more means that you won't be able to have a telephoto lens for lossless zooming in, or be able to take clever portrait modes using the two sensors together, as you can with the iPhone XS pair announced, although with the Focus Pixel, it can do depth sensing and blurring the background. It works rather nicely, considering it's faked. You can also then change the depth of the blur effect with a scroller on the bottom of the phone. Apple is claiming it's the first brand to do this, but we've seen it plenty of times on handset like the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus, so it'll be interesting to hear where Apple sees the difference.